tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Fun jazz.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to another AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Intruders. This is season 1, episode 2. I feel like I'm on NPR. We discussed this. Season 1, episode 2, and here you must listen. I am your host for the evening, Anna Koppel, and returning.
Yeah, that's
I'm Will Link.
And joining the panel.
Intruding, if you will.
Oh.
Isaac Johnson.
It was good when you tweeted it.
Not everyone follows me on Twitter, so I feel like I had to hit that again.
Well, after being part of this show, everyone will follow you on Twitter.
Yes.
The world.
Hopefully
the world is watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Another really confusing episode.
Although I feel, oddly, it's less confusing, even though it's still confusing.
Less confusing, more layered. Every time I feel like I know what's happening now. Boom, I don't.
Well, you know what I thought was great about this episode? First of all, it had a lot more, I think, action and even humor than in the first one, which I thought was helped it along.
Sure.
And also, even though the overall mystery, we still have no real idea, but there was at least a little bit more tangible, easy to follow mystery of a Jack, using his cop skills to try to track down what happened to Amy. And you can follow that storyline pretty clearly. What happened to Amy, well, that's another story.
Yeah. No, I agree. And using his cop skills, did either of you feel at any point that it felt like a little bit like a buddy cop movie?
Oh, you mean with him and George?
Yeah.
And the taxi cab driver rolling around? Well,
yeah.
They have a black guy and a white guy. That's
like
buddy cop.
Right, yeah.
Formula.
Yeah, and exactly. It's like Jack Whelan, a retired cop, comes out of retirement and is joined by, street savvy George Brackett, and together they're
reluctantly dragged into.
Yeah, somebody's getting too old for this.
Exactly. But he's like relating. He's like, and they're fighting the battle in Seattle. Well, I don't know. Yeah. It's a working title. I don't know.
Yeah, let's keep working on it.
Let's just anyway. Okay, so just really quickly to touch on, Oz has a replacement now. Oz Turner has a replacement.
Yeah. Tim Truth.
Tim Truth.
Yeah. Maybe not his given name.
Perhaps not, but I like Professor Purdue, Tim Truth.
Again, I'm loving that there's this X-Files lone gunman element to this show. Like, there are these guys out there seeking the truth. And, again, talking about what Bill Anderson or whatever. Talking about him, that they're out there still defending him wherever he may be. Yeah,
I do enjoy that. I don't know if either of you or anybody has ever spent any time in El Cajon, California. But I have, and it's literally a place where when people get out of prison, they're like dropped off from the prison bus. They're dropped off in El Cajon, and just here's your clothing that you came in with, and good luck. It is a hole of a place.
Oh wow!
In California,
great place to live.
Sounds
Start
delightful.
a family.
Yeah.
Great.
Run a podcast at least.
That's why these people, these fringe podcasters, go out there to broadcast.
Yeah, because they probably seem less crazy in those areas, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. No one comes up. No one asks questions there.
Lots of meth and El Cajon. True. These are all facts, folks. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So.
Welcome to Facts About El Cajon.
Yeah, that's what this podcast. That's what we're here for. Okay, I get your point. Okay, so.
So we touched on Tim Truth. He only had that one scene, but I hope that element continues on the show.
Yeah, he's rocking a glorious beard, by the way, too. Really impressed by that beard. It's a good crazy man beard. You gotta have a really long, thick beard to spout the truth.
Just because he's saying something that's unpopular doesn't make him crazy.
I didn't say he was crazy. But
you said a crazy man beard.
You did.
Okay, I did say he was crazy.
Now you sound crazy.
Yeah, I know, I do. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, moving on. Madison's missing. Her parents are freaking. Well, her mother's freaking out. We meet the father.
Well, it's not her real parents, though, right? Because doesn't Shepard check something about who her parents are?
Well, there was the line that they said about her going out to find the truth about her parents. So I guess this adds now a new layer to the Madison character and the mystery behind this. Are these her real parents? I guess not.
No, I think the line was maybe she went out to find out what happened to her parents, and they're just kind of separated right now. And I think this is my interpretation is that their child is missing. They can't really they can't issue an Amber Alert because there's no proof that she's been abducted.
Right.
And so the parents are sort of blaming themselves, because they are having maybe a trial separation or whatever. The mom has sort of taken off for a couple of days to the beach house.
She's having an affair.
She's definitely having an affair.
Well, yeah, that comes out. Yeah.
So I think it was the parents just like, well, we've driven her to run away because
of our problems.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I said before some of the humor that I found in this episode.
Okay, yeah.
It had to do with when Shepard comes there and starts asking these very specific questions to the family. Like, oh, did she go find did she ever talk about a Chinese woman named Ing or whatever? And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like that, I loved that scene. I thought that was great.
Yeah, they started off being pretty rational questions, like an FBI, guy would ask, I suppose. And then it's like, did she ever utter this specific phrase? Like, we need to see some ID. I think we do, yeah.
Well, but again, he introduces himself as Special Agent Shepard.
Yeah.
And they sort of guess FBI. And then it was like this head gesture, and they invite him in. So
yeah, I saw that.
So this is like, again, I feel like it's like a little bit like vampires. Like they have to be invited in. They have to introduce themselves as a full body intruder.
Well, it's interesting because the show is also called Intruders, and this guy has been let in now to 3 different places. Where the results are not necessarily for the positive for the people who have let him in. So is there... we're dealing with a show where there are clearly souls that are able to survive in other bodies and stuff. Is there something... Do you think there's something supernatural about him that he's able to persuade people like this? Or is it just that these people are desperate and scared and they just let him in?
Yeah, well, you had talked last week, I guess, about that a shepherd is maybe like a specific job for them, whoever they are. And maybe if he is, I don't know, an employee of whoever they are, like maybe his specific job has to be let in by an invitation, and they have different rules maybe than some of the other intruders.
Yeah, but it seemed he does it every time unless he's coming in by force, as we saw
later when he breaks in.
Right. Also, I'm going to take back. Last week I was saying I think Shepard might be a good guy. I don't think that anymore. When he crowbarred that guy in the face, I stopped thinking that. With
no good reason.
Yeah, it seemed unnecessary.
Other than that he was walking by like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Well, if we want to get into to Shepard a little bit here, he clearly... one of the great things that we won't know whether he's good or bad until we find out what it is he did. Because when he comes in, what's her? Am I getting her name right? Was it Ing, Mrs. Ing, or whatever?
Ing, yeah.
When he goes into her, she is immediately scolds him about like what he had done, or what you've done is this is going to be a problem for all of us now.
They'll kill us for what you've done.
Yeah. So maybe he's gone against what he's supposed to be doing. Maybe he's, and I don't know whether that would make him good or bad.
Yeah.
But
well, she said specifically that we've never had like a 9-year-old come through here before, and maybe that's why he's searching for her, is because he needs to correct something that he's done wrong with getting a 9-year-old versus someone who's older.
I guess it's still, we don't know the mechanics of how this whole thing
that,
works. So, because I mean, there's a reason why a 9-year-old, it's not good for a 9-year-old to be, I guess,
to be a host,
or be awakened, or have that hope, the thing within them awakened.
Sure.
But he did bring back Marcus, is who he's looking to bring back. And so, and he said, 9 years goes by fast, eh, Marcus? So he knows what he's done. And it seems like he's after this book, right? Because
more so, yeah.
Because she said no book was made for Marcus.
Right, yeah. That's
and he
interesting.
won't understand it.
Right.
So does everybody, so I guess we're suspecting everybody whose soul is awakened within somebody else has some sort of book, some sort of guidebook in a weird way?
Yeah, well, maybe and give Madison a different book, because it is like a book that's sort of narrated in, I guess, like an old guy's voice. That's sort of like supposed to be a guide, but if that's not his book, like, I don't know whose book that is.
Yeah. I feel like she was protecting, I feel like she was lying to Shepard. Mm-hmm. And that was definitely a book for Marcus.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and also she came up, she was like, right before he kills her, she says, "Oh, it's almost my birthday. I'm almost 72, which is like a multiple of 9,
Right.
So maybe it's like, I don't know, that she is a 9-year-old starting here. It's like a weird thing that's never happened, but we've got that theme again of it happening every 9 years.
I don't want to get too Da Vinci Code. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I did some research on the number 9. Okay. And by research, I mean I Wikipedia'd things about the number 9.
That is considered research, yeah.
And it talked about in a lot of faiths, the number 9 symbolizes completeness and conveys a meaning of finality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I did not know before doing this.
I didn't either.
For example, Christ died on the 9th hour of the day, according to the Bible.
All right. Are there more examples?
Yeah,
that's the only one I
That's a pretty solid one. I think you came out of the gate a little too strong.
When you lead
built
with
up to
Christ,
the Christ,
then you know.
All the other ones aren't as good. Yeah.
But
it's like the 9th Bloodsport movie is, pales in comparison. Oh, yeah. we got him in the booth with that one.
Laugh from the booth.
It's good.
So you were about to say, not to get all Da Vinci Code.
Not to get all Da Vinci Code. And actually one of our Orphan Black listeners pointed this out. And her name, Franzi, and I never know, and I don't have my phone in front of me, but it's at, I think it's MOERESCH, I think is her Twitter handle. But their apartment number is 126, which equals 9. Yeah. And then I have it on pretty good authority that the Chinese symbol also stands for 9.
Okay.
I'm assuming every time there's a number in the show, it's going to be involve the number 9 somehow.
Yeah. It's also maybe like a marker of whoever the intruders are, maybe. Like, it's how you know where they're at. 9
letters in intruders. I, the 9th letter in the alphabet.
Wow.
Oh, whoa.
It's getting deep.
Getting deep.
Whoa. This is getting deep.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to have to do, like, numerology and things like that.
Me neither, but...
My name begins with I. That's also the 9th letter. I mean, that has nothing to do with anything. It's probably more coincidence, but I like to think it does.
But that is the simple-minded conclusion. Is that? I don't know.
It's the easiest conclusion.
Yeah.
The way this episode started also with with Madison and this actress, Millie Brown, who I think is doing a fantastic job as a little girl. She's looking up at a clock, and I'm waiting for it to turn to 9. I'm like, what's going to happen when it turns 9? And she clearly, it seemed to snap her out of it in a way, because then she seemed to go back to little girl mode, like, what's this in my pocket? Like, what is this? And it's really hard to tell at this point who is in charge and when they're in charge, Marcus or Madison. And I haven't really detected a rhyme or reason as to who's in control of her when yet. I don't know. I don't know if you guys...
Well, but we talked about this last week, that maybe this happens in cycles of 9 years, and that that maybe Amy has been dreading her birthday because this happened 9 years ago on her birthday, and so for 9 years she's been invaded by this soul, and she's been anticipating this, and so maybe this is now ongoing. I don't know.
Well, but didn't it seem like she was like a little girl there again for a minute?
Yeah.
But then almost right away she went back to being Marcus, and I'm trying to. Was it because she was reading the book and that kind of brought him out more again? Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, is it always Marcus in control, or does Madison have some control here?
It's a great question. I mean, I did sort of think too, like, I wonder if the host, I guess, of the intruder is aware, aware of the person in their body at the time. With who's the woman that kills herself in the first episode?
Donna?
Yeah, or not Donna.
Not Donna?
Not Donna.
Yeah.
Like she killed herself, but I wonder if like she's sort of aware that, like, I wonder if she's aware of the intruder having to exit the body every 9 years or something like that. I don't know.
And I wonder if that, now that I think about it, in that episode with Donna, not Donna, was if every 9 years the possibility of someone coming into your body or coming into your soul was, originally I thought they were exorcising a soul from her, but could a soul have been coming into her and that person chose to kill themselves? Because last week I was all from the idea that maybe it was the reverse, but now maybe not.
Oh, that's totally what happened.
Well, then I was lost.
Yeah.
I thought it was the opposite.
I had that thought that maybe it was them trying to put a soul or whatever into the body.
Yeah, that the soul came in and then that person killed the body.
I thought the soul. We didn't really talk about this, I guess, in this terms, because I thought the soul was leaving for some reason. I thought they were coming to collect the soul in a way. But now I don't think that, so maybe I shouldn't even mention it. But that's what I thought last week, and I guess I didn't realize we weren't on the same page on that. A lot of soul swapping on this show.
Lots of soul swapping, and again,
soul searching as well.
And again, if anybody has a better way for us to
refer to these people,
yeah,
because I don't know whether to call her Madison or Marcus at this point, because it's clearly Marcus who's telling off the guy at security at the train station. So the little Madison wouldn't be calling a guy an asshole,
Oh, well, we don't know that for sure. Could be a thing. I would think not, but yeah, sure.
And like, what a day that we live in, where this guy just stands there and says nothing when this small child calls him an asshole. I just feel like that's totally unacceptable behavior from a child.
Well, you would think if he was really concerned about her not getting on the train, he might be like, oh, let's find out where your parents are, kid. No. I was very glad that when she approached that guy in the train station and was like, hey, I'll give you this money, you pretend to be my... that the guy, like, laughed her off. Like, because rationally...
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Although later in the episode, we see somebody is willing to take her somewhere.
Well, she offered her a lot more money.
That's true.
So, what's your price? What do you think? How much money does a small child have to
pick up
offer?
a 9-year-old? My number is none. I will not pick up any
I feel like...
It's a lot riskier for a man too. I
sure,
would say.
yeah,
that's true. So how much? How about you? You seem to have a number.
Yeah,
then.
Like $50.
$50.
You're easy on this.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm broke too.
So 9-year-olds, if you're looking for someone to smuggle you across state lines,
I'm your girl.
Anna's open for business.
For mayor.
So she had this book. The book. What do we think of the book?
I'm confused by the book. There are a lot of secrets in that book. Okay, great. So
Sorry,
okay.
Didn't have much thoughts in the book. Just
well, you know what? I mean, clearly, I'm under the impression it is some sort of a guidebook, and they gave us some really wonderfully creepy images to carry us along with that decomposing bunny rabbits, and crying angels, statues, and things. And
who is going to write the books now that Mrs. Ng is dead? Do you think there's more than...
Well, the other thing that I keep wondering about is the hierarchy in this, and again, I hope I pronounce it right, the K Reverte, that's the organization, K Reverte.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the hierarchy is here, because if Mrs. Ng had any sort of hierarchy in this organization, I don't know if she would have been taken out so easily. So I wonder if there are other people supplying these books too, and well, just what's going on.
I had the feeling that the intruder passes the book to whoever it inhabits next, and they write the book. That was my thought, but could be wrong.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
There's such a small handful of them going around, is my assumption.
Okay.
That could be.
Sure.
You know, yeah, why not?
A small handful of books or souls, or both, I guess.
Both.
I guess how
the
many
souls, yeah, that you can. Because you know when you give a book to somebody, they're never going to give it back. So it's passed on to that person, and then it's theirs.
Well, she seemed to again be getting snippets of, when she started looking through that book, snippets of I guess Marcus's memories. And again, I guess that was Madison getting those snippets, and But then Marcus was back in control, it seemed.
Perhaps that's the purpose of the book, is to remind the intruder who they are, where they've been, that kind of thing.
But if the book wasn't meant for Marcus,
except you guys, and spoiler alert, but if you didn't watch the previews for next week, it seems like next week Shepard is talking to some guy who declares himself as Marcus.
I'm assuming this is. I'm actually excited that, because I was assuming from seeing this we're gonna get a little bit of maybe the flashback of the of Shepard and Marcus, and maybe what the beef between them might be, which will be interesting. You know, I mean, look, this is only an 8-episode season, so they're gonna have to start. I'm under no illusions that this season is gonna end with total answers, but they're gonna have to fill us in on some of this character stuff, because I think really there hasn't been the first episode. It's been so plot driven and so mystery driven that they're gonna have to give us a little more character work in these next couple of episodes.
Yeah, I hope so.
And that was honestly, that's what I think it is. I'm assuming that's a flashback.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, that would
make sense. There's a lot of flashbacks.
There are flashbacks. Yeah. They did open with flashbacks. Okay. So so Madison ends up getting away from Shepard and getting a ride.
Yeah, Shepard makes his way to the train station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Madison gets away. Madison Marcus.
Yeah.
Now, Madison wouldn't have the know-how, I guess, to elude an adult, but Marcus does, because he's
an old man. He could have been living for hundreds of years.
Right.
That was the other thing.
He might be a witch.
He could be anything.
You don't know.
Well, that's the other thing. It seems like that, really we've all as a society been lied to about death, and that we don't have to die.
Yeah.
Which is very reassuring for me, because I'm all in. I would join Kira Verte in a second. I would sign up for my soul passing between bodies. I'm holding on to life.
It seems like kind of a painful process. I don't know.
So every 9 years I go through a little, twice a year I gotta go to the dentist, Every 9 years my soul just passed to another body.
You were just complaining that you haven't had to work 5 days a week for 9 years.
I did. Oh my God. 9 years.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is getting really creepy.
Maybe my soul's been inhabited by somebody who now has a full-time
Do you
job.
get to choose the body that you leap to, or?
Well, that's the other thing, and that's what I'm very curious. Do you think, because I doubt Marcus said, "Hey,
put me in a 9-year-old,"
and
whoa,
yeah,
kind of weird. I said it and then heard it and thought, no, okay,
yeah. And I'm assuming he had been in. See, this is where I guess why I thought that maybe they were, rather than putting a soul in with Donna, not Donna. This is why I thought maybe they were exercising a soul, because I was like, who did someone put a soul into? Baby Madison, was that it? And maybe was that a way to trap Marcus? And maybe that's why. Maybe these aren't her real parents, because this organization took a baby and put some soul in there. Maybe that was a punishment. You're going to have to. I referenced last week the movie Being John Malkovich, and again I remember the end of that movie where he's trapped in a child. He's always just going to be in the child's consciousness and never get out. And maybe that was it. Maybe this was punishment.
Maybe that's what Shepard, or Richard Shepard, that specific Shepard, did to the actual Marcus, and then they tried to hide him in a young person. Then he wakes up at 9, and now he can be chased. A lot of questions.
I mean, these are just. I feel like there's no stupid theories with this show,
Yeah.
And I say that because I'm making tons of stupid theories.
I don't think they're dumb at all.
No.
I don't think they're stupid at all. Well, don't. Be so down on yourself, man.
Thanks.
Well, before we move on, I just want to take a quick second to talk about iTunes. Seems like a good place. We love your comments. We love your feedback. So if you would like to take a second to just leave comments and feedback, we appreciate that so much. iTunes, YouTube, we always love to hear what you have to say. And you know, the more we hear from you, the more sort of visibility that we have on the internet, and then that enables us to get awesome guests, and that's it. And then we have lights on here, and we continue to show up. It's great. So, meanwhile, Jack is still looking for Amy.
Yes.
Where is she? I don't know. Maybe at her law firm, which is, I don't know. I didn't get that she was a lawyer at first. I thought, and when he showed up, it seemed like maybe like a marketing place.
Yeah, well, because it just looked like general corporate, very cold, very, you know.
But it seemed very hip, too. That there was like this column that was lighting up. I didn't get that it was a phone. No?
Okay.
I don't think Jack got it at first either, to be fair.
Yeah. I don't know how hip I thought it was. It seemed cold to me. There's nobody in the lobby, no person there to offer you like a water or a grape soda or anything.
I didn't say it was warm and welcoming. It was just like, you know how some places are like, go ahead, Will.
Oh, no, please.
No, some places are like, this is what it means to be hip, because...
By ignoring our guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because hip people, they don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So they were like, we just won't give a crap about our clients.
Okay.
Yeah, we're too cool to care.
Well, look, this law firm...
And that place was real cool.
Real cool.
This law firm, we all under the impression that this is some sort of also cover for this organization.
Absolutely.
This has got to be a cover for Kay Reverte.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
Because we got Todd in the office. Was there
Todd Crane.
Todd Crane in the office there having the chat with Jack, and then Jack realizing that maybe he's got to trick him into finding out where she was. And it's like, oh, I was supposed to meet her here. She said she was going to stop by. She didn't stop by. They're both being pretty cagey, and it seems like they're both trying to get information out of each other.
Todd was being very evasive.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It also just kind of seemed like maybe he's just having an affair with Amy. Because, you know, I assumed last week that she was having an affair.
Okay.
And so, and I don't know, maybe it's just sort of meant to trick the viewer, or maybe I just...
You don't trust men?
Maybe I just don't, well, women
or
in
women,
this case,
in this case,
And, but, you know, the sort of like familiarity with both of them, you know. Oh, hey, Jack, how you doing? Todd Crane, you know, which could happen at company office parties, holiday office parties, you know, but it's usually the other way around, where the boss doesn't remember the spouse. But you know, Jack has no idea who this guy is, clearly.
Yeah, although that was another. I like the way he played that up, because he clearly didn't know, but Todd knew him. Like they had clearly met at some point.
Right, but maybe not. You know, maybe he's having an affair with his wife, and so he knows all about him. And the way it was just totally inappropriate. Like, is there something that I should know about Amy? Like,
yeah, pretty personal.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that you should know that
about my wife.
Her husband shouldn't. Yeah.
I don't think it's an affair. I don't think it's sexual.
But they ended up at the same condo.
Well, you know, they're in the same secret society of soul, you know.
I don't know. I might buy an affair.
I don't. Well, time will tell.
Sure, I might buy an affair though. I didn't think about that, but that is a pretty personal question. Like, what do I need to know about your wife? Nothing. She's my wife. What do I need to know about my wife from you?
Yeah.
And what's your relationship?
I think if Todd's having an affair with anyone, it's not Amy. It's the Tsar's secret policeman that apparently is inside of Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Assassinated a labor strike leader in 1883.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the soul that's been going on in Amy's body, I guess. And I loved that. I thought it was a really creepy little flashback also when he was dreaming and he remembered a time that Amy kind of just rose out of bed speaking like Russian, I guess, and he couldn't wake her up, and she was acting pretty strange until, of course, it turned 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 9 o'clock thing. Well, that's also one of the specific questions that Shepard asked. Did she ever speak a foreign language?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if then, because last week they talked about the Bill Anderson or whatever talked about the organs in the old cathedrals of Europe and stuff like that, and how the frequency of the lowest frequency of the pipes that has the answer to that. So I'm wondering if these are just all like old school, like Eastern European people who just know that their souls can go on, that have found the way to beat death, if that's what this society is. Like, me is just some single-souled American. I don't know if I could get in on this, but like somebody from like the 1700s, 1800s, and I'm assuming that's where this whole society comes from.
Only old school Europeans, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
I specifically said Eastern Europeans.
Okay, only Eastern Europeans.
But no, but that's what I'm assuming, that this whole society's been from so far back, that all these people, an 1883 Tsar secret police, stuff like that. Like people who have been around a while. Like I feel like it's the same people who've been doing this for hundreds of years, not necessarily new people getting in on it.
But only since organs.
Only since there were pipe organs in cathedrals. That's what they said last week.
Okay.
They said that's the key.
No, I agree with it.
So, like I said, I don't think we could break into this organization and be part of it. I think
I specifically couldn't if it's only like Eastern European. I don't believe that's where my ancestry's from.
Don't pull the race card. This is
I'm not pulling it. I'm
ridiculous.
just saying. The man said. I'm like, wow. No
The
chance.
man said.
This guy right here. He's a man. You don't consider Will a man?
This is ridiculous. Anyway, so yes, just before Jack leaves the office, I just want to touch on that. Daniela, the secretary or the assistant or whatever the proper terminology is, of the secret society of the law firm, they sort of like exchange this knowing nod, like, make sure he leaves.
Yeah.
And then like these two shadows at the door, like made sure that he got on the elevator. It was just, there was definitely some creepiness going on there.
And clearly people were following him then after that too. You saw shots of people like, while he's sleeping in his car, there are people like watching him from like bridges and things and street corners watching him.
Yeah.
And I assume this, again, all coming from this law office, which I, again, assume is a cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it could be anything.
Maybe they just really take care of their employees. They just really want to make sure there's no like abuse or anything weird going on in the home. Like, why is he following her all the way to Seattle just for a cell phone? It seems.
Where did they live again? What's the name of the place they live?
Birch Crossing.
Birch Crossing, yeah. I gotta look at a map of Washington, but like, how far is that from Seattle? Does she go to work in Seattle all the time? Does she only work there a few days a week?
Last week there was a shot of Jack driving there, and it said Seattle 40 miles. So I don't know if it was 40 miles from Birch Crossing or if that was the halfway point. I don't know, but
okay.
So it's at least 40 miles.
Just trying to figure out Amy's commute and what their routine is like as a married couple, which clearly their marriage is not doing well.
Right. So so he's living out of Brud's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This poor guy lends him his car. Another moment of nice humor was later when he was on the phone with him. He's like, whatever I told you, I don't remember. I lied.
Yeah.
Which I loved. I thought that was great too.
Yeah, it's a moment of honesty. And he starts looking for George, the cab driver.
Smart cop thing to do.
To do. And also, I don't know how he remembered the cab driver's name. I guess that's another smart cop thing. Is that...
Just filed it away.
Yeah.
I guess if you're worried about your missing wife, you keep track of the details.
But he was but at the time, it was just a missing cell phone.
He also had to leave a reward for him. So he had to know who he was leaving the reward for.
Fair enough. And so apparently in Seattle, there's just like this network of cab drivers. And only one named George.
Yeah. I'm looking for a George. Which George? The George, I guess.
He's very popular amongst the cab drivers of this town.
Yeah. Everything over the race. So, and George just has like this stand-upness about him. There's a better word for that. Because he not only returns the cell phone, not only calls about it, not only returns it, but then once he hears his name on the radio, shows up for this stranger. He might be hanging out at this bar.
Well,
Go check it out.
Well, something clearly about this incident. I mean, he even said that Amy creeped him out because she's talking about working for the czar and like she was saying all these weird things. So I guess she left enough of an impression that I'm sure he wanted to know what the bottom of this too.
Yeah, well, it's not everyday conversation. Also, somebody who lived in 1883. Oh wait, what did you say? I'm sorry. What year? 1883. Okay, cool.
And I like the evasiveness in the beginning of their conversation before they kind of warmed up to each other, where even where Jack even lies about like his wife's height to see if the guy, which I thought was nice little dialogue. And again, it's giving us like I still want to know from a character point like why he's no longer a cop, but I thought it was a great little character thing for him to do to show how smart of an investigator he can be, or how he can get people to open up or talk and things like that. It was a nice little touch.
Yeah. Cops do be doing that. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so they team up, and George agrees to sort of like drive him around and tell him everything that he knows, and Jack's like going through the phone, right? And he sees like some creepy pictures that are, I don't know, not quite pictures.
Well, it was a blurry picture
It looked
that
like
she
a
had on
mistake.
her phone.
Yeah,
it did.
like a pocket picture, like you're pulling out of here and you just happen to hit the button, maybe.
But she clearly kept it on the phone for a reason.
I keep a lot of pictures on my phone for no reasons. You know, like a screenshot of just my homepage and.
Well, if you go missing and I find your phone, I'm gonna analyze every single one of those.
Why do you have my phone in this scenario?
Well, you know, it was left in a cab, and for some reason, you were I was the last person you called, so they called me.
It's possible.
It's possible. It could happen. It could happen. I hope it doesn't.
I think that if I go missing, you're the first person that people should question.
At this point, yeah.
George apparently doesn't need any fares for the day too, because he's driving around Jack for free. Looks like I didn't see any currency exchange there.
Jack probably gave him at least another beer.
Yeah, he bought him the one beer.
I like the idea George is working for booze, and then he gets in his cab and drives the streets of Seattle.
Yeah.
But he did tell Jack that he was there with a man in the cab, that she wasn't alone, which is the first time we were hearing that. And I were to believe that man is Todd Crane.
Yeah.
But he said it wasn't Todd Crane, right?
No, I thought he said he showed him the blurry photo, and he said, was this the man? He goes, that's a terrible photo, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
And then that photo sucks. Yeah, that's what he said. And then he Google image searched Todd Crane and showed him a photo. And I mean, maybe we didn't get a definitive answer to that. I felt like it was.
No, because the two goons started approaching them, and and Jack was like, walk, and he's like, what? And he's like, just walk, and he's like, okay, now run.
Okay, run.
And then they started beating him up, and at first I was really concerned, then I was like, oh yeah, Jack's a cop. And so
apparently a really good cop.
Yeah,
very good with the combat there.
Yeah, it's totally hardcore.
Yeah,
that hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, that was the most buddy cop of the moment of the show, when he kind of took care of business there.
Yeah, that was very good. Of course, after that, George is out of there.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the last we'll ever see of George. He's like, he's gonna go back to his life, driving a cab,
drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I got left a beer in my car. Let me go get it real quick.
But they did trace back to that was Todd's condo, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's up in the condo.
We see him there at the end.
Right. But so before that, you know, one of the goons is about to shoot Jack, and then the other one stops him. He's like, "No, she said no."
Yeah.
So now we're assuming that that's Amy that said no.
Yeah.
Maybe not though.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Mrs. Ng. Who knows?
Yeah, or whoever controls Amy, I guess. But was that before or after he was on the phone and they said, you know, like, this is Amy?
That was before.
Okay. Right before.
Because the call happened afterwards.
Right.
I got to assume it's Amy though. I don't see, because she's clearly involved with the Seattle division of K Reverte or whatever.
The Seattle division.
She's clearly involved with them, and she'd be the only one I could imagine who would give it. Because damn, if Jack lives or dies anyway. Because we've seen Shepard, he'll just go in and shoot everybody and burn the house down. So I assume she's the only one who would care enough about him, maybe, to let him go. Also, that brings up another thing. These souls that are passing between the bodies, one we see apparently kills the host body, has a suicide or whatever. One is drowning cats, They gotta be good souls, though, too, right? I mean, don't there have to be thoughtful, nice souls? That I would like to think if my soul passed along to another body, I'd be like a nice guy. Or by nature of what's going on, do they have to be a little hard and a little evil and a little, like, protective, and to the point where they'll kill everybody to protect their secret?
Perhaps, I don't know if they have to be good, because if they're sort of cheating death and they've figured out this whole thing...
That doesn't make them bad, right?
Don't know if it makes them bad, but then they take someone else's life who was meant for a long life, then they don't get to control their own body. It seems a little selfish. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it evil, but it's they're survivors, So they need to do what they need to do to survive, and they've been doing this for however long they've been doing it, and it's just a function of survival. If it's you or somebody else, you're gonna choose you every time.
That's true. I probably would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not every.
It's a harsh truth. No, you need to take a good long look inside.
I'll just say that I would sacrifice myself for the two of you.
Oh, that is so sweet.
This is great, and
I don't feel the same.
I know that you wouldn't. I just thought I'd throw it out there and try to bridge a gap.
That's gentle and sweet. What a
I'm
sweet,
nice
gentle
I'm
soul
a nice
you are.
guy. Yeah, thank you.
I don't believe it for a second. But that's okay. So anyway, so then he finally answers that Jack's been getting this call from the Zimmermans the whole time. And so he's like, oh, fine, like my buddy cop has abandoned me. I just got the crap kicked out of me and I'm all out of breath. I might as well take this call. So he finally does, and it's Brud asking about his car and whether he's okay. And it seems like once he gets all of this information out, that's when he said, yes, I'm okay. I'm in Seattle. Everything's fine. Your car is fine. But Amy's missing. And once all that information is cleared up, then something crazy happens with the phone. We know there are crazy electronics in this family anyway.
Yeah, we've seen weird stuff with the phone already. The computer in the first episode, how it just crashed when he was looking at her calendar. And
let's not forget, in his flashback, the coffee machine and the lights went on and the DVR, which could just be morning stuff that happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I was thinking about that when that happened. I'm like, oh, the DVR just turned on. I'm like, wait, my DVR just turns on. And I'm going to record something. So, but I did think about that in that moment while watching it.
But his phone goes screwy, and then Amy's on the phone.
Yeah.
And go on.
And she's back home.
Right where she said she'd be.
Yeah, she's like, of course, that's where I am.
Yeah, that's where I said, come on. What's your deal? But then after that, that's when he sees that Todd Crane is standing on the balcony.
In the condo, yeah.
Yeah. Keeping an eye on all this.
Yeah. Maybe he's the head of the society.
I would say that if Amy was doing something nefarious with this organization and with the soul, and because it seems like as long as she had just, texted him, kept him in the loop a little bit, like, oh, hey, honey, I'm fine, none of this would have happened then. So they got to get better about texting and getting back to people.
Keeping their phones on them in general.
Yeah, keeping their phones on them.
Yeah, well, it is hard for her to text him when he's got her phone.
Well, now, here's the thing. She left the phone in the car. Do you think that this is... It seems too coincidental, right? To just be she accidentally left her phone.
Sure.
So do you think, again, going with the idea that there are two souls kind of in charge of this body, that maybe the Amy soul, or the lack of a better term, good soul, left it there on purpose? like almost like I need to leave a clue behind, or I mean, I don't know.
That's possible. Or is it possible that a soul from 1883 isn't so used to keeping their iPhone on them all the time?
Well, clearly they'd been in her for a long time. They'd been part of her.
All right, I like your theory.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Will's theory. That was a little bit of what I was saying earlier. Just that, like, maybe the host soul or whatever can still have some control over the body. So it kind of makes me wonder if Donna was the one who killed herself and not the intruder.
Except that she signed it, "I am not Donna."
True.
I don't know, you guys. I just, the more we talk about it, the more confused I become.
No, I'm really into this. I'm really into asking questions.
I like that we're clearly like hashing. This is fun to hash this out here, though, and I hope the people at
aren't
home
just like, why are you hosting this when you're just as confused as we
because
are.
let me tell you what, you don't know either at home. You don't know, but if you do know, let us know.
Yeah, let us know on the YouTube. But I think that's a lot of the point of the show, is to have a lot of questions, a lot of like breadcrumbs sort of for us to figure out. But
I agree.
I don't think it's going to be as clear stated and like, this guy is evil. All right, kill him.
You know what's funny? I'm convinced that Marcus is probably like really bad. Like at this point, I'm thinking, he drowned a cat. Like he's clearly like a sociopath.
Sure.
However, because I think this little girl is so awesome, I'm like rude. I'm like, but don't catch her. Yeah, I want to see her mess these people up. Like it's entertaining. It's good.
I think it's likely that he's really high up, and maybe that's why he was a target, and that's why they hit him, perhaps in this 9-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Hidden in a 9-year-old. Shall we get into some news, gentlemen?
Sure. Let's do it.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Will, I know you got some news.
Well, about the ratings. The ratings are in, people. And for its first episode, it did really great out of the gate. It got 1.5 million viewers. That's live plus 3. Bigger than Orphan Black, a show that's near and dear to our hearts, Anna.
That is a show that's near and dear. And that surprises me.
Yeah, well, I know it also had the Doctor Who lead in, and that's a big show for BBC America, and I'm sure that's going to help Intruders along throughout the season. But I hope it keeps up those ratings. I hope people, all those 1.5 million people, decide to stick with it and follow this mystery.
How can you not?
I know. See, that's the thing about the show. It's so moody and mysterious that you really... how do you not want to stick with it and see where this is going?
Agreed. Do you have more news? Or?
No, that was my news.
Oh, okay.
Do
you want to retell it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. I knew you cared about me, Anna.
I do.
Yeah.
All right, predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Do it.
Well, I mean, I don't have much, but I mean, one of the things that I actually did have written down, but we already kind of talked about, was I think we're gonna get to the bottom of the Shepard Marcus animosity next week. I think that's all gonna come out in some way. I also think this poor woman who's driving Madison / Marcus, I'm assuming she's not long for this world. Yeah. I'm curious how that goes down.
Yeah, I'm assuming that she is the next soul that is harvested. That is
maybe, or probably just a casualty of Shepard.
Just
like
casualty. I think it's gonna be a casualty of Madison.
Yeah, I think Madison.
I think Madison's gonna offer keep her money.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bold.
I'll be needing that.
I think we're gonna see this little 9-year-old murder people,
just like that cat.
And I am all in. I'm all in for children killing people.
Yeah.
Fictionally.
Okay.
It's important.
Yes.
To note. Do you really think that we're gonna get to the? You said like the.
I think we're gonna get to the bottom of their animosity.
Sure.
But we're still not gonna know how any of this happened. But I think the at least their animosity. I think we will.
Do you think we're gonna meet Allison, Madison's mother's lover? Do you think he plays in it all?
Oh yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I would like to think so, because you got a name check there, and then the husband Simon kind of runs out there, and she chases him out. I think we got to get more of that, especially since Shepard didn't kill them, and that's kind of his MO, to come in there and just wreck the place.
I think we're gonna meet him. I think he's going to play him because I don't think you drop a full name for no reason.
Yeah, first and last name.
True.
Yeah.
He could have just said, "Has he met your lover, your boyfriend?"
Yeah,
Whatever,
this is no co-star. This is a first name, last name. It's a big job for somebody.
And the fact that the husband also kind of knows the name, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to show up again.
Friend of the family.
Friend of the family.
Doesn't seem that friendly.
All right, gentlemen, where can we find you throughout the week?
You can follow me on Twitter at The Real Will Link, and you can also listen to my pop culture podcast, Will Sean Podcast, which I host with someone named Sean, on iTunes and on the Westcast Network.
Wonderful. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram The Isaac Johnson, and head over to my YouTube page, also The Isaac Johnson, and check out a short film called The Forge that I was in that is out.
Fantastic. And you can follow me at Koppel for Mayor, KOPPELFORMAYOR. You can also catch Isaac and I in a couple of hours buzzing about Ray Donovan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can catch us all here next week. Thanks for joining us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.